No, you can go now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good evening, Safe Space family. Thank you so very much for stopping by Safe Space. For those of you that have never been by Safe Space, it is a place of storytelling, a place of encouragement. The stories are told to give each and every one an example. Hopefully, it's something that's being told here that you can connect with and identify with to let you know that no matter what you've done, where you are in life, what you are currently struggling with, there's always hope in the Lord. The stories that we tell are those of encouragement, motivation. There are people like we have tonight that have developed herself as a total encourager. Her name is Coach A. Lee. Coach A. Lee is a dynamic woman that has many layers of talent. She's widely known, again, as I said, as Coach A. Lee, a passionate life coach, author, publisher, poet, chef, and in many cases, she has dealt with all of these areas as far as social service experience for 20 years with the authoring, the publishing, and the chef, and 25 years of culinary arts experience. She is a chef of business, officer of Creative Love Network, where she leads a powerful community incentive, workshops, and performs that centers in love, healing, and self discovery. As a creator of all of these books, the Power of Loving Yourself series that has a workshop, Coach A. Lee offers a transformative guidance through courses, books, speaking engagements. Her publishings also include work of expressions of love, feeling of courage, love, loss, and betrayal, loyalty, connections between us. I got a story to tell, and she said she spells it TEL, comma TALE and TAIL, and the children's series Cooking with the Little Chefs, Lee, and the Culinary Kids. Her upcoming titles, I don't know if that's a spoiler alert. I'm going to let her share that. But Coach A. Lee joins us tonight to primarily make you all aware of all that she offers in her web, her workshops. I'm sorry, I can't talk tonight. All that she offers in her workshops through her book, The Power to Change the Way You Love Yourself. And she gives 10 life changing steps to self love. Welcome to Safe Space, Coach A. Lee. Welcome, Coach A. Lee.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you being here. You have such a beautiful, welcoming spirit. And I just love everything about this platform. So I want to thank you.
It is such a pleasure to have you here. Looking at your book, it is something that intrigued me. The title did, because this is an area I think, I don't know if people that know me would say I struggled in this, but we all know what's inside and what we feel. The areas of insecurities that I have struggled with in the past, I think was rooted in self love. And I don't know why, because my paradigms, I come from a very warm household, both my parents. And then I had a bonus set. My mom's parents lived one door down. But in reading your book, it is such rich in information. It's over 270 pages. But some of the things that truly intrigued me was the foreword that states, what truly sets Miss Lee apart is her deep level of empathy in combination with the genuine desire to see others best in the glory of self confidence, self esteem, and unshakable love for themselves. In this brilliant literary offering, Adrienne has provided the blueprint to living a life well deserved, or that we all deserve. And it starts with changing the way we love ourselves. From Larry Love, is it Steiner? At
Yeah.
Creative Love Network. Also, in your preface, the things that you say to people, that is, it intrigued me and struck me. You said, during childhood, our initial understanding of love is shaped by our family dynamic, whether you're raised in a two-parent household or by a single parent, with our other family members or within a system. The quality of love experience is these settings is crucial factors in how we evolve ourselves. This early exposure influences how we perceive and engage with love and ultimately impacting our capacity to embrace or reject it. And you also talk about the many unfair things that happen to us that we may blame ourselves, whether they're negative events that occurred during our formative years or early adult life, or events that we have no control over. Now, that's interesting, as well as the love as we move forward in forgiveness and releasing the pain is essential steps in committing to a positive change to welcome love into our lives. And it starts with ourselves. That is something that I've had to grow to learn, that I am responsible for how people perceive me. And a lot of times it's a subliminal, non spoken communication of how I respect and love myself. So you have a wonderful poem in here that is The Power to Love. I'm going to read this and then I'm going to turn this mic over to you. It takes time to find out what love really is. A journey within. Through shadows I searched. I dug deep down beyond the surface and found me to unearth the truth only that I can see. I took time to learn myself properly, each flaw, each scar, each dream and decree. I face my fears and embrace my pain through storms and sun, through loss and gain. And there, in the quiet, a revelation unfurled in the heart of my soul, a new world. My true love, not distant, not out of reach, but within, a bond only I can teach. For love's greatest power lies in self embrace, in the mirror, in our own loving grace. To change the way you love yourself is to see the most profound love begins with me. That's really cool. And it says it all. This book is just so vast. So I'm going to ask you initially, what led you to write this book? And it's so depth, like seeking support, personal growth in the various chapters. And I'm going to touch on that because it's so much information. The chapters start with step one, self introduction. Step two, self forgiveness. Step three, self healing. Four, self understanding. Five, self value. Six, self trust. Seven, self recognition. Eight, self praise. Nine, self knowing. And 10, self acceptance. This is a lot of information. As I said, this book is over 273 pages and is written in a smaller font. So it's a lot of rich information here. And I do recommend that anyone that has a question even about if they love themselves properly will go out and get it. And I know it evolved into your classes as well as your love network. Tell us about all of that, if you would.
Thank you so much. I love the way you read my poem too. Thank you.
I'm available.
Okay. The reason why I wrote the book is because I came from a not so good family. I didn't have love. I didn't have a mom to love me or a father or anybody for that matter. I had my grandmother, but we were always taken from her. So she showed me glimpses of what, love was possible to be, but I didn't have that my whole life. I never was kissed or hugged or told I was beautiful or you're enough. It was always, you're not going to amount to anything. You can't do this, you won't be this. And I was determined to prove my mother wrong. But in doing that, I was like, I have to do this for me. And then I had a baby at an early age, and I couldn't allow my son to grow up the way I did. So I had to figure out how to care and love for my children, and I think I did that. And also working in social services, I started working with small children in group homes, and I would see how they would get treated wrong by their families, and they would ask me, well, Miss Andrea, do you think I'm beautiful, or why doesn't my mom or dad or my grandmother love me? So I started having these groups, and we did mirror exercise. So we have this floor length mirror. So I tell them to stand in the mirror, look at yourself. You don't need approval from somebody else. What do you see when you look in the mirror?
For the purpose of the audience, can you speak up just a little bit?
Yes. So I would. when I was working in facilities like group homes, and I also worked for the VA with women vets. And we would have these groups, and I would do these mirror exercises. And so they would ask me, why am I unlovable? So I tell them to stand in the mirror and look at yourself. You don't need to be validated by anyone. You can validate yourself. I never wanted to be like anyone else. I never wanted to look like anyone else. I always wanted to be me. So it was always me doing the inner work, but I don't really know where that came from. Well, I believe it was God.
Absolutely. You had no example, so it had to be
Yes,
because you
it
had a
was God.
purpose in the earth.
Yeah, so everything I did, no matter if I felt somebody did me wrong, I was never a revengeful person. I just stopped that connection with those people or that person. And I hope they do good, but I just don't want them to be a part of my life because I want my life to be about love and not chaos. So everything that I felt like was love in my life, I had to create it for myself. So I want to create some steps. And I did this with young men, young women, and I still do it today in my workshops. And I have different people come in. Like we both have a mutual friend, Dr. Joanne Chestnut, who's a very great example of what love is. She just exudes love. I
Mhm.
have other people in my life like Larry Love and his wife, Diane, and poet Larry Love. His name is Love, right? So just our Creative Love Network. So I'm part of the Creative Love Network, and our pillar is love, right? And of course, the L is for love. And we do different things for our community. I love to cook. So I cook with love. Everything I do is out of love and care because I believe that if we start with love, then our worlds could be a better place. I know somebody told me, "Oh, Andrea, you can't be happy every day. I know you are upset sometimes, but I've never seen you unhappy." And I was like, why can't I be? Right? I can be whatever I want. Not saying that I'm not going to have some issues or troubles in my life, but I deal with it differently. I'm not going to get upset because it's not going to do anything but harm me. Right? So in the book, I started with self-introduction. And my question for that is, who were you taught to be? And who are you actually? And that's the step one in my workshop. So we discuss these things. We have discussion questions. We have mirror exercises. We have letters to ourselves, right? So we read this letter and it starts with Dear Self, I love you. I see you. I'm here for you. And then we do forgiveness. The second step is self forgiveness. So we have a self forgiveness letter, right? So all the steps we do, the format is the same. It might switch a little, but we have to heal as well. So self-healing. And I always tell people in relationships, you said some people say, well, all men are this or all women is that. You don't think it's you because you're attracting the same person in different bodies. So it's something that you need to fix inside of you. It's not them. And we start taking accountability and responsibility for ourselves, not saying that their actions wasn't wrong, right? But you accepted it and you allowed this to go on for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. When do you say enough is enough and love yourself enough to walk away? Because you want that companionship, you need to learn how to love yourself and be alone with yourself, date yourself, right? And you
Mhm.
can't be in a successful relationship if you don't love yourself properly first. And my book is not saying you don't love yourself, it's talking about how to love yourself properly,
Mhm.
right? Doing some self healing, some self care, self understand, you valuing yourself, recognizing the things that you do and not feeling bad for it. And it's not about arrogance, right?
No, it isn't. It
Eh,
doesn't come across that way. It really doesn't.
yes.
It comes across in a vein of healing with practical
Mhm.
steps of knowing how not to repeat the same detrimental cycles. Like the example you just gave about women or men
Or
attracting the
me.
same person in a different body. I think
Yeah.
that is something that happens, like I alluded to in the beginning, that's a subliminal communication. People that are predators and that are not in a place of wanting to treat someone fairly, they recognize the lack of self love in people, and that's
Yeah.
who they connect with or go after to connect with. It's almost like in so much of what you have written in here is based on godly principles in the
Mhm.
way the word teaches us to heal. And you've
Yeah.
added practical steps to just the word of God and just
Mhm.
what you just said, writing the vision down and making it plain, the letter to myself, making the declarations of how I'm going to begin to see, forgive, and heal myself.
Yes. And I think that's very important, even starting with children. So I'm going to start writing a teen version of the book. And it's teaching people like I was talking to some colleagues at my job. And so we do a workshop of self-awareness. So being aware of different things in your life, like everybody's not your friend. Why do we call everybody friend? Right? And then also not just loving, you have to like yourself. You have to like the people that are around. You have to be comfortable. I want to be my whole self and not showing up as my representative when other people come around. I want to be me 100% completely around anybody that I call friend. And some people switch up and they change, and they call it code switching.
They don't want to be judged. And see,
Yes.
that's an indication that if you cannot be fully, completely yourself and let your
Mhm.
guard down around those that you call friend and that you spend time around, it's so ironic. So much of what you're saying is what we just covered in a book that we were covering in a Bible study. It's
Mhm.
about having the freedom to not be a representative
Yes.
in your life with, and especially with those that we hold close and that we spend our time with and that's supposed to be dear. It
Yeah.
inflicts an unforeseen pressure that imprisons you in a way.
And it's tough, especially when people are holding on to people for 20, 30 years just to say, oh, I had this long time friend for this long. But what I tell people is our relationships is like a tree. You have the leaves, you have the branches, and you have the roots.
Mhm.
So the leaves are just temporary, they blow with the wind, right? And the branches, they could grow, but as soon as you need to lean on them, they break. And then you have the roots where they're going to be there forever, holding you down, supporting you, loving you, showing up for you. So you need to have that discernment to know who's the leaves, who's the branches, and who is the root, and accept them fully and 100% for who they are. And invest time in the right people in your life.
In the
And that's
roots.
exactly. And sometimes that's difficult for people because they want to be comfortable, right? I could be this person that I can't be with the rooted person because the rooted person is going to tell me the whole truth, right?
Mhm.
I might get a little fakeness from the leaves because they're not going to be there a long time. So whatever I say, they're going to go with it because they want to be here for that moment and they only want to be here when it's good, happy times
Mhm.
and not when I need them. And I can't lean on the branches too long because they're going to break on me.
Mhm.
So we need to know these things and teach this to our children. And I think being self aware is very important in discovering who you are because we evolve. And people don't get that. Oh, you're acting different. I should be acting different. I'm not in high school anymore, you know?
Absolutely. Thank you for saying that. For some reason, people do not understand that we should be evolving into the day we die. We should be
Mhm.
learning. We should be changing. We should be growing. You are not, and it's so obvious when you talk to people or even see them. Some of them, it's in their outer appearance. They're stuck in a time frame, in a time warp of when their life was most satisfying to them, or they were
It's like,
not challenged, or they didn't have to be accountable, or they didn't have responsibility. And they're 60-year-old teenagers.
exactly. I'm like, how old are you? Still acting like that and talking this way. We have to evolve and do something different. It's like being comfortable in a job that's taking you nowhere.
That's right.
There's only a certain top limit that you could go, and you can't go anywhere else, and you're stuck because you're comfortable with this 9 to 5 check coming every 2 weeks and it haven't stopped for 20 years.
That's
So
right.
you're not going anywhere. So
Mhm.
what do you do in those situations? You try to talk to people and tell them, oh, it's a better opportunity, but I'm afraid.
Fear. I was thinking that as you,
Fear.
and that's one commandment. We spoke about that tonight, that he commands us to not be afraid. And it's Isaiah, I think 41:10, where he makes it very clear that I am God. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. There's nothing you have to be afraid of because you have me. And that's where the discernment and the strength in building your faith muscle comes into play, because it is a prison. It is a place that you
Yeah.
can get stuck, and you're almost like on a hamster in different
Mhm.
areas of your life too, if you're not careful, and you're going round and round and round and round. And if you're not careful, if you have good self-esteem, or a healthy level of self-love, it'll diminish when you're in a place that you feel trapped.
Yes. So how do you get out of that? How do you get unstuck? It's changing the people that you're around because they're stuck too, and you have to continue to evolve in your life. So one thing I told myself is everything that I was in fear of. I used to be afraid to get on airplanes and boats and everything. So I was like, I have to get over this. I can't let anything hold me down or control me. And if I want to do this thing and write and do workshops, I got to get on the plane because I can't drive all those miles to passing 300, miles and different things like that. So Andrea, you got to get it together. You have to get over this fear. And I can't even tell you how many planes I've been on since that, or how many boat trips. But just getting over that fear, I don't want to be in fear of anything. And
We're
so I
commanded
just,
not to, because
exactly.
he's with us at all times. And if we are working on, first and foremost, a relationship with him, and secondly, ourselves, and you have taken a meticulous time to give step by step illustrations, and then you have the workbook. Tell us about that, as well as more in depth about your workshops, to kind of hold people's hand to get in, because sometimes the hardest thing to do is to take the first step to do something.
Yes. So I have the workbook accompanies the main book that you have, and I also have a journal. So it's a 90-day journal. So it goes through the mirror exercises, the different prompts of, just having that self-talk, the self-love talk, and reconditioning the way you talk to yourself, like with kindness and with love, and switching out those negative words and making sure you have a routine for yourself, even if it's just staying in the house, relaxing, watching a good movie, and having some dessert that you love. It don't have to be something that you always have to spend money on. You could do great, nice things for yourself in your house, but just taking care of you. And so in my workshop, we always do a welcome. I feel like it's important because some people go out into the world and nobody even greets them or says, how are you doing? How
Mm-hmm.
are you feeling? So I start off with hello, and I say whoever their name is, because I believe you should address people by their names.
Mm-hmm.
How are you doing? How was your week? And how did you take care of yourself this week?
Today.
Not what you did for somebody else, right? And so when I first started, people say, oh, I did this for my husband, or I did this for my son, or I did. No, we're not talking about any of that. This is about you. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not about being selfish or self-centered. We need to take care of you because if you don't take care of yourself, how are you going to take care of your husband? How are you going to take care of your kids? How are you going to take care of your mom or whoever you're taking care of?
Mm-hmm.
You have to be okay. What
Mm-hmm.
did you do for yourself? So then they were like, oh, okay. So the next class, they were ready. I did this and I made sure I took care of myself. And it was so good. I had a class Monday because I also teach anger management and parenting. And they
Wow.
were I just love that is no judgment. I let them know it's a safe space. And they wanted to talk about the things that they were dealing with in their life and how they got to this class. If it was court ordered or if they just came for themselves because they needed it. And we were in that class for 2 hours. And usually the class is only an hour. None of my classes go at the time that's I permit. It's always 2, 3 hours that we
Wow.
go in class because everybody feels comfortable and they want to talk. And it's very powerful. And I want you to come and be a guest for one of the Power to Love classes. And I'm also going to do a spin-off because I just don't want to leave people after the 24 weeks. So it's going to be self-love talk with Coach A. Lee and friends, or Coach A. Lee and whoever the guest is. And at the end of this book, we talk about trauma. And it's going to be a 6-week course with Dr. Joanne Chestnut. So she's going to do the trauma version of the Power to Change the Way You Love Yourself. So that's going to be great. She's very versed and educated in that part. So I really love to have people come in and just deal with the different things that have to do with our healing. And it's not just all about me. Yes, I wrote the book. Yes, I create the workshop, but I want to build a community where I might not have something you need, but Shelby, you might have something that someone else need, right? And I think that's important to for us to replace that and let our egos go. And we work, nobody has become successful by themselves. And I tell people this all the time. No billionaire has become a billionaire just by himself. He had the idea, but he needed that team of people behind him, on the side of him, in front of him, around him, the right people, right? And we can't get to that point if I tried it. I tried to do my catering business by myself and I burnt out. I tried to do my workshops and everything by myself. I couldn't do it because you burn out sometimes. So I also have a workshop where I teach people how to teach the Power to Change the Way You Love Yourself workshop. So it can be ongoing, and it's just not my voice, it's also the voice of other people. And after you finish the course, you get a certificate saying that you went through the 10 steps plus the additional 6 steps with the recognizing and healing from trauma. And we also do a little poetry in there. And so a lot of times when we got to the forgiveness, that was the hardest step, and that's the second step. So people had a lot of difficulty with that. And the healing, we had crying, and just bringing up things that they didn't know they felt. And when they read the letters to themselves, I asked them, well, how did that make you feel? And then we do affirmations, and I have everybody read because I'm not just going to be the one read it. I want you to feel it. So I think that's
All
important.
of that is in line with, even from the perspective of biblical counseling, of the way the word leads you to a place of healing, all of
Mhm.
it. And you are so right. People connect with different people sometimes because there are different paradigms that we may have or experiences we've gone through. But it is so important to be real, to be
Mhm.
genuine, and to be naked and unashamed when you're trying to connect with people to try to help them or lead them to the beginning of their healing journey, especially if you've ever had to overcome anything. And if we are to continue growing and evolving, you have to overcome some stuff. And that
Yeah,
forgiveness piece,
it's
Lord,
tough.
Lord help us all. And as
We
I was
kick
saying
ourselves.
earlier tonight, if we don't forgive, we're not forgiven. And so
Yeah.
I found that as a starting place for me for my motivation.
Hmm.
And then I began to seek practical steps of how to do it. One of the simple ways, and I want you to share with me what you do in your class outside of the letter, but one of the simple ways that I have been told to do it through a deliverance ministry. And we talked about some things tonight, like writing prayers and focusing on, say, maybe Psalms 51, that it is being a start of a template to write a prayer of repentance, because we have to ask for forgiveness first to be able to put our heart in a posture to forgive. We're just not able to do it in our own power sometimes, most times, because we're hurt and we need to
Yeah.
be healed. And it's a lot easier said than done if you don't find ways, such as your book and things that you're doing in your workshops, to help people, to give them templates, to let them see examples, living examples. If I can do it, you can do it. So
Yes.
that is so helpful so often. So I remember one of the first things that I began to do was just, after being instructed, to just write a list, to sit down in the quiet with yourself, being honest, like you. And you encourage so often in this book, like distinguishing the difference in you of who you are really, really, really created to be and who you were taught you are, or who you've
Yeah.
developed your representative to be, because that gains favorable response from people. So you sit down in the rawness and naked and under shame and write out a list of those that have simply offended you throughout your life, people that have hurt you that you think that you've forgiven or letting go. Because so often, as you stated at the beginning, you flee from them. But that
Hmm.
doesn't mean that you've released the hurt
Yes. So
that
you
you
know what
hold inside,
I
because you
used
don't have to deal with them and confront them daily. It'll lay there dormant
yes.
until somebody pricks it, or they do something to remind you of it, or they assault that area of you, not knowing most times, and it rears its ugly head again. And that's when you become aware that you truly are not healed and you truly have not forgiven. But you write that list, and you will sit down to think about it in the quietness and the stillness and the help of the Holy Spirit. And you write that list and you begin to pray over it. And sometimes in the beginning, it's not earnest, heartfelt prayer, but
No.
over time, it will become earnest, heartfelt prayer. And one of the things that I've heard you say repeatedly, writing, writing it down,
Yes.
writing it
Journaling.
down, and having them to read it. You said a few moments ago, I'm not going to read that for you. You need to read it. And how did it make you feel? Because sometimes even hearing back or reading aloud what you have poured out of your heart or out of your hurt sounds different when you read it back.
Yes. And I tell people you have to know, deal with your trauma, but also know what your triggers are, right?
Dr.
And
Chestnut talked about that when she was on here talking about her book. It is so important.
yes, the triggers, what triggers you? And how do you deal with those triggers? You have to have a coping skill. So, what are your coping skills? Can't always be walking away. Because I used to get triggered a lot. And what I did was I would shut down, stop talking to the person, and not tell them why we're not talking anymore. And then, like 6 months, a year later, like, Andrea, what happened to you? We're good friends. I really loved you. But I didn't know how to process and deal with that when I felt like somebody did me wrong. I felt like you betrayed me, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to walk away and let you have it
Mm-hmm.
because you were disloyal, but we didn't have that conversation. But now that I'm at this mature age, I communicate better. And I let people know you have to teach people how to treat you. You
You
have to
do.
teach people how to love you, right? In
Mm-hmm.
order to be in your life. And so I'm going to just read a quick self forgiveness letter.
Okay.
We always start off with Dear me, I want to take this moment to look at you with compassion, not judgment. I know you have carried regrets, mistakes, and moments of weakness as if they were heavy stones in your pocket. Today, I choose to release you from the weight. I forgive you for the times you doubted your worth. I forgive you for the choices that you made out of fear, pain, or confusion. I forgive you for not knowing then what you know now. Even misstep was also a step towards wisdom, growth, and healing. I acknowledge that you did your best that you could with what you had at the time. You don't have to keep punishing yourself. You are human, beautifully imperfect, and still deserving of love, grace, and peace. From this moment on, I give you permission to breathe lighter, to trust yourself again, and to walk forward with hope. You are worthy of forgiveness, worthy of healing, and worthy of joy. With love and compassion, me. And so that's a letter we'll
That's
do in
good.
class.
That's
Yes.
good. And you know what? This is not by coincidence that we're doing your interview tonight. God is just so amazing. The book study that we're doing is The Bait of Satan by John Bevere. And there are declarations in the back of each chapter. And the chapter that we covered tonight talked about massive offense. And it
Hmm.
went from Matthew 24. I think the 10th through the 13th verse, talking about when Jesus Christ responded to Paul, telling him when we would know the signs of when he was coming back, because no one knows. And
Mm-hmm.
it gives declarations in the back of that chapter that fall in a line with things that you're forgiving yourself for in that letter that you write to yourself, like
Yes.
making decisions based on your point of knowledge then, and being able to forgive yourself for the mistakes that it might have produced, but did you were working with what you were equipped with at that moment, and that it is a trap that Satan uses to imprison us. Even like one the here that says, I will not allow my foolish expectations of others to disappoint me and cause me to be offended.
Mm-hmm.
Which you just said, one of the classic ways that we respond is to withdraw and go away, which causes loneliness and
Mm-hmm.
eventually creates the stronghold of imprisonment
Yeah.
within yourself,
Mm-hmm.
which leads nowhere, holds
Yes.
you in a place of unforgiveness, doesn't allow you to heal. You build up these walls of stronghold, which are through fear. You
Yes.
begin to process everything that comes at you through the lenses of hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't forgive yourself, you can't forgive anyone else, and you're trapped in a place, as it said in this book, of prison, alienated. And then you began to look at God through the eyes of the way that you look at people.
Yes.
And we all know that he does not have the nature and the character of man. And so it's all a trap that holds you. So I do not, this is our second week, believe that the date that was established for you to come on here and talk about this was a coincidence. I do not.
Yes.
Just listening to
Divine
that letter, it's
intervention.
amazing.
It's divine intervention.
There it is. There it
Yeah.
is. The letter is confirmation. And that was just one of the things that you use in the introductory level of introducing you to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, this is loaded. She starts at the beginning of the step one that says self introduction, embarking on a journey of self discovery. Sometimes we don't give thought to that, but it is important to be able to forgive and to heal. Sometimes we have to dig so deep. We have to go back to when our paradigms were originally formed to understand why we respond to things the way we do, why things trigger us the way they do. She just said that we have to understand and know our triggers. Sometimes we don't even know what they are until someone unknowingly triggers us.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And then just the journey of self love is like peeling the layers of an onion. So we have all these different traumas and layers of ourself that we have to heal from. And it's tough. And just imagine cutting an onion and how that makes you feel
That's a
your eyes.
lot of layers, too. That's a
Yeah.
lot of thin layers. You say here in this journey also of embarking of self-discovery, you said the significance of self-love is a practice of treating oneself with the same care, compassion, kindness that we extend to others. And I have been so guilty of not doing that. It is
Mhm.
the foundation upon which we build a healthy relationship with ourselves. This concept is vital for several reasons. One, improving mental and emotional health. How about that? Enhancing our relationships. When we love and accept ourselves, we are better equipped to establish healthy, fulfilling relationships with others, which makes so much sense because we teach people, as she just said, how to treat us. Personal growth, and none of this is in a selfish vein. That is not what we're saying at all. A young lady said on the previous call that was on tonight that not being offended is as much our responsibility as another. I think she said
True.
it this way: drawing healthy boundaries with a tender heart. So if
Hmm.
you draw healthy boundaries because of the way you love yourself and you're tenderhearted, you are more likely to have healthy relationships. Personal growth is the next one, the third one. Self love encourages self improvement and personal growth. It motivates us to set and achieve goals, take risks because you're not afraid. That's me adding that in there, which is so, it makes so much sense. And step out on of your comfort zone because you're not afraid. Stress reduction. A strong sense of self love can reduce stress and improve your ability to cope with life challenges. It fosters self compassion during difficult times. A journey of self love is not linear, the path, but rather a dynamic, evolving journey. Like she just gave the analogy of the onion. Here are some key stages and aspects to consider: awareness, acceptance, self compassion, boundaries, which is was said on the last call, self care, forgiveness, growth, and learning. And I'm going to read the self care one because sometimes we get it twisted. We just want to rub lotion on our body. Self care regularly includes physical, emotional, and mental well being. Engaging in activities nurture your body, mind, and soul, whether it's exercise, meditation, journaling, or spending time with loved ones. Do it, Dr. Coach Lee.
Yes.
That's
And then,
amazing information.
and I also talk about conflict resolution and growth because I had a lot of issues with that. Like I would run away from conflict and not resolving it in my life. And then I started learning I can grow from this if I just take the time to learn. And it's a natural human interaction. And so we're going to have conflict. We have conflict on the freeway, on the road, in traffic sometimes. And sometimes it's not even our fault. Today, when I was coming home, we were going up the up ramp, and the FedEx truck was trying to like merge while I'm in front of him and then cut in front of me and almost hit my car and then get on the freeway and try to intimidate me and just drive behind me. So I took a picture of his license plate and I was still thinking because I don't want to ruin his job and if he have kids, I'm thinking about all this stuff, but not thinking about what he could have had done to me,
Or
right?
someone else. You
Or
can't
someone else.
handle that in an irresponsible way. First of all, that's a huge, heavy vehicle. While he
Yeah.
was tailgating you, he could have caused another accident. And of course, the obvious, he could have hit you, but he could have
Hmm.
caused you to hit someone else because you were distracted trying to see what he was doing. It's just so many what ifs in that situation. That's irresponsible behavior, and
Yeah,
you're employed.
exactly. And it's like, I don't understand the minds of some people in traffic. And that's my biggest thing. Like, it's always something in traffic. And I haven't had an accident that was my fault ever. And I haven't had any major accidents. And I haven't had an accident in probably over 15 years because I try to be mindful and careful. And so when little things like this happen, I'm just like, God, like, what's going on? Like, what's happening? And I understand people have bad days, but you have to be mindful of the different things you do because if I was a different type of person and I would have put on my brakes and he would have hit me and then I would be like, oh, now, it could have went somewhere else. But I try
Or
to
if you
think
have been
about that.
volatile and retaliate, you
Yes.
said that you're not, that's not your nature to be retaliatory. But there are a lot of people looking for offense. They're looking for a fight because they don't love themselves. They're displeased. They're in a prison. Some people are so lonely from the walls and the strongholds they've developed through offense, through no forgiveness, through no self love, until they're looking for a fight just to have contact.
Yes. So, and then I just broke it. It's on page 138, and I
Okay,
talk about healthy ways to approach conflict and
I
disagreements.
see it.
So, open and respectful communication.
Communication.
I think communication is very important. Start by initiating a calm and open conversation. Use I statements to express your feelings in perspective, such as I feel or I think. This encourages a non-confrontational atmosphere and promote active listening, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you come in and you're attacking them and you're like, you did this and you did that, then they're going to be offensive. So if you come in soft, calm, I feel or I think, and you talk about yourself because a lot of times when we have conflict, we're only looking at the things that the other person did. But
Right.
what part did you play
That's
directly or
right.
indirectly in the conflict? Because it takes two or more.
That's right.
Get in this conflict by yourself. And maybe it was something that hasn't been resolved because of your trauma, because you shut down. And now something triggered that person that's starting a conflict with you. So, how do we resolve this if we're going to stay in each other's space? And I think that's very important. Active listening, empathy, and understanding. Seek a common ground, stay calm, and manage your emotions. Use neutral language. Avoid using accusatory or judgmental language, which is very important in conversations. You
Mm-hmm.
always do this. This is why, and this is your fault. Remember when you, but that's not going to help the
No,
situation.
it's going to put them on a defensive mode and they're not going to hear you.
And then they can come back and say something that hurt your feelings
That's
and harm
right.
the relationship even more.
Mm-hmm.
So just making sure that we're staying focused of what the bigger picture is, because no matter what happened, even like with situations with my children, I give them that room to talk respectfully about how they feel if I said something wrong, because I'm not always right.
That's right.
And even though they're adults, I have to understand that I can't parent them the same way when they were children. So
That's
I
right.
have to watch my tone. I have to watch what I say. I can't be too judgmental. Sometimes it's hard because you're like, I'm the parent and I know I've been living this life. And then you say things like that. And then they're like, oh, here she go. you
And
know?
all it is you don't want them to make the mistakes that you obviously see that sometimes they have to make to learn the lessons that you did. But no
Yeah.
parent wants their children to have to go through unnecessary hardship if you can help them avoid it because you've gone through it or seen someone else go through it. But sometimes, we all have our own journey and we have to
Yes.
learn through the scrapes and the bumps.
And it's hard because you see it, right? And you're like, I
Right. And but they won't
care.
listen sometimes. And
Exactly.
sometimes that's the only way to learn. When that
yes.
when that hot stove, when you say don't touch the stove, it's hot.
Yes. And it's like,
And they
and then
keep on until they touch it. You never have to tell them again.
and they're like, Mom, you was right. See?
You never have to tell that baby when they touch that hot stove or that hot whatever, they like, ooh, that's hot. So, and I have to say this in winding this down because we could go on and on and on with the information you have in here. In continuing in the section that you have, and it's a part of step 6, which is nurturing love to build the foundation for relationships. In conflict resolution, you talk about the roles of compromise and negotiation, which is always these steps that you listed a few moments ago was to help you approach it in and inform conversation of how to get to where you get to a place that you can compromise and negotiate.
Yeah.
You said the roles of compromising and negotiation, which is important to find a resolution that fits that satisfies both parties. You said compromise involves finding a middle ground and making concession to reach an agreement that satisfies both parties to some extent. If this requires flexibility and willingness to give up certain preferences for the sake of the mutual benefit, that's true.
Mhm.
Negotiation. The negotiation is the process of discussing, bargaining, and reaching resolution that all parties can accept. It often involves back and forth exchange of ideas or proposals until a mutually agreeable solution is found. So true. Win win solutions. We all love these. Effective conflict resolution that often leads to win win solutions where both parties feel their both needs and concerns have been addressed, and these solution tends to be more sustainable because both people feel seen and heard and to contribute to a better relationship. Compromise versus concession. It is important to distinguish between healthy compromise and giving in or making concessions. So true. Because if people feel that they are always giving in and always giving concessions, they don't respect the process because they don't feel that
Yes.
they come away with anything. So I get that. You continue to say compromise involves a balanced approach, while concession may involve one party yielding to the other without receiving anything in return, and that's not cool. Clear agreement. Once a resolution is reached, ensure that the terms and agreements are clear and documented, especially in situations involving work or legal matters. This prevents future misunderstanding, which clearly states that if it's not in writing, it didn't exist.
Yeah.
But I could go on and on and on about this information you have in here at each step. In the interest of us, because I cannot believe we've been talking almost an hour. That is not believable. But this is such a powerful piece of literary work. And the reason I feel that it is such a powerful piece of literary work is because it's practical. It
Yeah.
aligns with the word of God and the principles and the character of who he is, giving people, even if they don't have a relationship yet with God, giving them practical steps of how to come to a place of healing. Because ultimately, that's what this is all about. You
Mhm.
heal, you forgive to be able to love yourself, to move forward, as you pointed out in some of these steps, to have healthy relationships, to even be able to balance and move forward with being a productive adult, to be able to function on a job, function in society, be a contributing part of wherever you are, because you
Yeah.
have to be a whole healed individual to an extent to be able to contribute to any situation without
Mhm.
being one-sided or creating issues within the situation.
Yes.
On the back, you say, in the power to change the way you love yourself, readers are invited to a transformative journey of self discovery and empowerment centered around the essential practices of self love. Through 10 powerful steps, this book guides readers toward a deeper understanding of themselves and the potential for profound personal growth. That's just the first paragraph. I encourage everyone that is watching this tonight or that will watch this to go out on Amazon, and she's going to give you the ways to contact her for her study guide that goes with this, because it is there as well as her classes and all of the other things that she does. She's also very helpful if you are a aspiring author, to help you get your book published. um, I could go on, but I'm going to yield to her now so she can give you the last words that she wants you to remember about this and other things that she has done and is going to be doing, or things that she can offer, her services to travel to where you are, to teach a class, or whatever it is that you may need from her. Her communication as far as ways to reach out to her. And of course, you can always do it through me, and I'll give you that at the end. But Coach Lee, leave your lasting impression of what you want people to know, how to reach you, what it is that you offer, please.
Thank you so much. You guys can reach me, of course, by following me on social media. On Instagram is coach underscore a dot Lee, and that's on Instagram. On Facebook, it's Miss Drea the Poet or Andrea Lee. Also, my email is Andrea at creativelovenetwork.com. You can, and also I forgot to tell you guys that my workshops is could be no out-of-pocket cost. You could pay with your insurance or Medi-Cal, and I teach through a mental health organization, Better Days Integrated Services, bdips.org. They also have therapists, they have boxing therapy, they have domestic violence classes, anger management, and parenting. So if you want more of that information, you can also reach out to me as well. And you can find all of my books on Amazon and pretty soon on my website. So I will keep that updated with Shelby. And Shelby, I want to thank you so much for having me on and just be able to talk about the work that I do. I feel like it's very, everything I do is out of service. I feel like I was here to be a service worker, and I thank God for all of the gifts that He did instill in me, and I can share with other people and just help to make this world, even if it's one person, a better place because somebody did it for me. I had an amazing principal that told me when you graduate, not if, but just having somebody to believe in you changed my life for the better. And I said, if I want to do anything like anybody, I want to be like her. And she said, when you graduate and you get your first apartment, I'm going to furnish your entire apartment. And I didn't believe her. And she did. She helped me get my first job in the office where she worked at for LAUSD. Nobody has ever done anything for me in my life. I was always struggling to do things for myself. She saw something in me, she believed in me, and she made sure she kept her word with me. So I make sure I do that every day.
That
So
was
I
your
really,
angel assigned to you. And she was obedient and operated in what she was to do regarding you, to make sure that you made it to your next stations in life, and to make sure that you would continue to be a blessing and be obedient in the gifts that you were given. You know, there's a story in the Bible that he buried his gifts. He didn't multiply them. He didn't use them to serve other people, which is a terrible sin. We are given gifts to bless God's people, and he uses other people, even in your situation, to set you up to be able to do that, and you've been obedient in doing that. If you gave your website, I missed it in my listening. Can you give your website again?
it's www.creativelovenetwork.com. And you can follow Creative Love Network on all social media platforms.
And you all can reach her through that. You can also reach her through Safe Space. My website, you can send me a message. It is safespacewithshelby.com. Again, safespacewithshelby.com. You'll see this very picture on the website, and you'll know that's me. There's an area in there to send me a message, and it comes straight to my email. And any messages that you need to get to her for some reason you can't reach her or whatever, I will be more than happy to forward it to her, because this is very important. We have to begin to take care of ourselves. They even tell you on the airplane to put your mask on yourself first
Yes. And
before you
also,
help someone else.
yes. And also, we also go out to colleges and schools and teach the workshops. So if you have a corporate event, or I have my partners, Poet Larry Love and his wife, they're going to start teaching about different emotions. So we also do catering. If you guys need anything that our corporation does, like Shelby said, you can reach out to her or us, and we'll be of service to you anywhere
She
we
is
can.
a chef as well. 25 years, what is it,
Yes,
25 years in the chef industry, as well as 20 years in social services with her
yes.
books. She has a number of books. You'll see, if you go to her website, I would recommend that you go to the website, and it'll give you a summary of all that she offers, because she is also a publisher. So if you are a budding author and you need some direction as to how to begin to write your book or how to get it published, she can assist with that as well. I want to give you a heartfelt thanks for coming by Safe Space, giving us this time. It is greatly appreciated, and this is a subject matter that is near and dear to my heart. I think everything that we are and are going to be begins with us and God. And we have to spend the time to work on ourselves to be able to be all that He's created us to be, because this world does a job on us. And if we're not careful, we will succumb to it and not fulfill the reason that we are here. And so I think these are tools that are so useful to be able to help people to pick themselves up by their bootstraps, to be able to move forward, because life can knock the wind out of you. That's just simple. It can. Some charted starting with traumatic childhoods or situations or relationships that we may get into as we become adults, or even work situations. I've been hurt greatly in my workplace. So I totally understand in different places that hurts can come from. But we have to heal us, because we take us with us everywhere we go. We're the common denominator in every aspect of every aspect of our lives. So thank you so very much for coming by and sharing your wisdom and your gifts with us and taking the time for us tonight. Thank you all for listening, coming by Safe Space. If you're here live, thank you so very much for your support. And if you see this later, thank you very much. And if you need us again, reach out to us. You have the ways to contact us. Good night, Coach Lee.
Thank you so much for having me. Good night. Enjoy the rest of your week.
You do the same. Good night, everybody. Thank you for listening. This is Shelby from Safe Space.